While at Moondog Records in Las Vegas, I ran into some of the nicest record store employees I've ever run into, as well as the craziest selection of Japanese pressings I've ever seen in person. So of course I picked up as many of the Japanese pressings as I could. Also, I did find 2 complete grails while I was there, and I'll show you those last. First up, we've got 2 of the very first bootlegs that I've ever put in my collection. I don't think I'll ever find official pressings of these 2 albums out in the wild, so I had to pick them up just so that I can listen to and enjoy them before they get reissued, or at least I hope they get reissued here in the future. The first record I got was Megadeth's Cryptic Writings. This, of course, is a bootleg. I've always kind of loved this album since I was a teenager, probably about 12 or 13 years old. It isn't a Rust in the Peace or thrash style album from Megadeth, so it does kind of get a bad reputation from those type of fans that don't like the experimentation. However, I've always had a soft spot for this album. There are a couple songs on the album that the band still plays live as staples over the years, and also one of my favorite Megadeth songs that doesn't get enough credit in my opinion. That song is Use the Man. It's just a great song. As far as the live staples that Megadeth still plays from this album, they play Trust, Almost Honest, and She-Wolf on a very regular basis. She-Wolf is probably the closest song on the album to what you would expect to hear from Megadeth. This album comes on white vinyl. I have listened to it all the way through, and it does sound pretty good. You can definitely tell that it was sourced from digital material, but it'll do until they reissue an official copy. Up next, we've got the second bootleg ever in my collection, and that is the most hated Megadeth album by fans as far as I know, is Megadeth's Risk. Another album that I didn't think I would ever see in the wild, and I don't think this has ever been officially pressed, so this bootleg will have to do until it does get officially pressed. This album gets a lot of hate because it is very poppy, it's very classic rock or just straightforward rock influenced. As far as I know, the only 2 songs off of this album that any Megadeth fan may be familiar with, unless they dive deep into the discography, is Crush 'Em as well as Breadline. This record also comes on white vinyl. It does have its own custom labels. Again, it sounds good, not a whole lot of surface noise just like the other bootleg. However, you can definitely tell it was sourced from digital sources. So here's to hoping that these 2 albums get more official reissues so that I can grab those. One of the great things about Moondog Records is one of the employees very nicely agreed to throw these on and let me hear them before I decided whether or not I was going to purchase them. I really appreciated that, and it's just another reason why Moondog Records is a great record store to visit, or even travel to visit, if you want some Japanese pressings and some really friendly record store employees. Next up, we're going to start looking at some of the Japanese presses that I found in the gigantic Japanese section that they had at Moondog Records, and boy was I very excited to find the ones that I did, so let's check them out. First up, we've got Black Sabbath with Eternal Idol. This is a great Black Sabbath album from the Tony Martin era, which I've heard rumor is going to get a box set later on this year or next year, and I'm very excited. Tony Martin is one of my favorite eras of Black Sabbath. In fact, I prefer the Tony Martin era to the Ozzy era, which I know is a little bit of sacrilege. Honestly though, I just prefer Tony Martin's vocal range as well as his vocal performances. Nothing against the Ozzy era. They invented heavy metal, or at least refined heavy metal, depending on where you fall as far as that's concerned, and I give Ozzy his prop. It's just that I prefer Ozzy's solo material. One great thing about this particular pressing of the Japanese record is that this is actually a white label promo. As you might be able to tell if you've seen it before, this little red thing at the top of the obi here actually denotes that it's a promo. Nothing wrong with the jacket, nothing wrong with the vinyl. In fact, the vinyl looked unplayed when I got it. Of course, it comes with the Japanese lyrics on one side, as well as the English lyrics on the other side. And here is the white label promo. I've never seen a Japanese white label promo before, but I am very happy to have found this, of course. Yeah, this album has The Shining on it, which is a really great song. It's got Nightmare and Lost Forever, as well as the title track. Those are all great songs off this album. If it's been a while since you listened to the Tony Martin era of Black Sabbath, or if maybe you've never heard the Tony Martin era of Black Sabbath, I strongly suggest you give it a shot. It's an amazing era, and some of the best Tony Iommi riffs that I think he's ever written, to be completely honest. Up next, another Black Sabbath record. This is Black Sabbath with Born Again. This, of course, was the album that Ian Gillan did with the band. Honestly, the vocal performance on this is amazing, but the lyrics themselves, as well as a lot of the riff writing, is just a little bit subpar when compared to the other eras of Black Sabbath, and that's just in my opinion. Of course, the artwork on this is legendary. I love the artwork on this. I like that the obi matches the artwork perfectly. This album was also in perfect condition, no scratches, no hairlines or anything like that on the vinyl itself. Jacket in perfect condition. I couldn't have asked for a better copy. Here's the inner that it came with. This is the lyrics in English. It's also got some more English shout out special thanks to on the back. And then when you open it, oops. And then when you open it, of course, it's got the lyrics in Japanese as well as some other information. It comes on the Vertigo Spaceship label. I don't know if you could tell, but the vinyl is in amazing condition there. After that, we've got a classic. We've got Iron Maiden with Peace of Mind. In my opinion, this is part of Iron Maiden's untouchable 80s run of albums where they could just do no wrong. Every album was amazing, and this is definitely part of that. Songs like Flight of Icarus, Die With Your Boots On, Still Life, as well as The Trooper, of course, make this album one of the all-time classic Iron Maiden albums, and it's actually the only Iron Maiden studio album from the 80s that I didn't already own a Japanese pressing of. I also don't have Live After Death, but that's a live album. I am looking for a Japanese copy of Live After Death, but I haven't found one yet. This, of course, comes with the obligatory printed inner. Here is a photo of the band, the lyrics in English, and then the lyrics in Japanese. Again, the vinyl for this, just an amazing, perfect condition. Hopefully you can see that. Next up, we've got the last of the Japanese presses that I bought, and that is Rush's Grace Under Pressure. If you've watched my previous videos, you know that this 80s, mid to late 80s era of Rush is my favorite era of Rush. I love the more synthesized sound, the more emotional songs and lyrics. It's just my favorite era. This is an album I listen to and I don't skip a single song. It's got After Image, The Body Electric, Red Sector A, Kid Gloves. It's just full of songs that I absolutely love and never skip. Jacket's in amazing condition. It's got a little bit of a nick here at the top. Other than that, it's perfect. Here we've got the inner. Of course, the egg with the vice next to it symbolizing grace under pressure. Here is the English lyric side. Of course, you open it up, you get the Japanese lyric side. Again, the vinyl in perfect condition. No static, no pops or clicks. I ran it through the degritter, of course, to get rid of any dust that I could, any smudges or anything else that I could. I picked up a copy of Tom Petty's Into the Great Wide Open. I'm a huge Tom Petty fan. He's one of the few artists that always just kind of puts me in the right mindset, always kind of calms me down. It's almost kind of like meditation when I listen to Tom Petty. This album is no exception. All of his albums, in my opinion, have a lot of worthwhile material on them. He didn't really have a stinker in the bunch. This is just a reissue from 2016. Here's the printed inner sleeve. Got a nice picture of Tom Petty there, the lyrics on the other side. Big hits off of this one, Learning to Fly, as well as the title track, Into the Great Wide Open. This was sealed when I got it, so of course the vinyl's in great condition. Okay, so last but not least, the two grails that I was able to pick up at Moondog Records in Las Vegas. I've never seen these in the wild before. Both of them have been on my want list for years and years, and to find both of them at the same record store is just straight amazing. The first of the two is Every Time I Die's The Big Dirty. The earlier pressings of this, actually I believe those are the only official pressings of this, are worth so much money. For some reason, it's hard to find them. They are out of print. As far as I know, they've stayed out of print for pretty much years and years, so it's very hard to find. Here's the printed inner. Again, this was just an amazing shape when I got it out of the shop. This pressing is yellow with brown and black splatter. It was limited to 500. And last but not least, we've got one of my ultimate grails that I've been looking for a very long time, pretty much since I very first started collecting. That album is Rush's Counterparts. This, of course, is an early 90s album from Rush, so very hard to find on vinyl. This is an original pressing, which is even harder to find on vinyl. They did do a reissue of this record in 2015 or 2016 when they were doing that 200-gram campaign of reissues. That one is also worth kind of a surprising amount and hard to find. Counterparts has been on my want list, on my grail list, since my very first year of collecting. Songs like Nobody's Hero, Animate, Stick It Out, Cut to the Chase, just amazing. Again, this is another Rush album that I don't skip a single song on. Here we've got the printed inner sleeve, great condition, no splits, tears, or anything like that. And then the record itself, classic black vinyl, classic Atlantic label, and amazing condition. All right, everyone, this is my haul from Las Vegas's Moondog Records. Again, if somebody from Moondog Records happens to see this, thank you very much for being so helpful and cordial, and also keep it up because your selection is amazing. I've never seen a record store with that many Japanese presses, and every time I come to Vegas, or if you post anything that you're willing to ship, of course, I'm going to be calling you. Thank everyone for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. This is Primetime Vinyl, and I'm Nick.